The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Nina Wood. I'm part of the account manager team here in Bristol. I take care of many of our subscribers in France, Belgium and the Netherlands. I'm joined today by Christophe Darchieu, our Head of Business Development.
Hello.
And Sarah Sperring, with member of our research team.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who are not yet completely familiar with my profile, I thought we could actually start with a very quick intro all about what we do. Our team specializes in detecting and tracking projects in the key process manufacturing sectors before they are in the public domain. So on the screen here, you can see a sort of tagline of all the sectors that we cover. And our team of researchers gathers the key information on those projects into bulletins that are available on our online platform called MyProtel. So this platform, as I said, is available online, and I've just got a super quick video for you to see the sort of structure of our project bulletins. So we've got the client's name, the sensitivity level, because it's all very confidential. We've got the value, the status, so how advanced the project is, and the different steps of the project. And the keywords are really helping you knowing all the different facets of a project. Right. I think I'd like Christophe, if possible, if you could tell us rapidly why we sort of decided to move on to the food sector.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nina. So my name is Christophe Darchieu. I'm looking after the business development for the Netherlands, France, and the Belgium territories. Just wanted to highlight a few points with regard to how and why we decided to launch the food and drink market. I believe it was a natural and logical progression from protest, as we found out some key factors which were showing a clear indication for the use of new sectors and the need of new sectors. I just wanted to go through with you some of the key factors. Obviously, we did conduct market study just to investigate the markets of the food and drinks, and obviously a lot of meetings through the trade shows and conversations in terms of finding out various trends in this market. As we do value our customers' demand and feedback, something came up a lot was the big demands in getting similar data that we were providing in the pharmaceutical industry as a business intelligence. We did also find a lot of market similarities with our food and drinks, which is already available in the UK. And I think that all combined together kind of lead us in and allow us to launch the food and drink in October 2018, which is available now.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Christophe. Before moving on, I'd just like to remind you that we pretty much want this to be a conversation. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to use the right-hand side pane on our panel on your screen to ask any questions. We'll either, just answer your questions straight away if, they're well timed. Otherwise, we'll keep all the questions at the end, and we'll try to cover as many of them as we can. So please send your questions. Now, I'd like to actually, without further ado, let's dive in. And I suppose, Sarah, I'd like you to, introduce yourself first, and also tell us about the sort of major investment trends that you've uncovered so far.
Yeah, thank you, Nina. So, hi everybody, my name's Sarah. So I started with Protel last year, really to focus and develop the food and beverage for Europe, so specifically France, Netherlands and Belgium on the research team. So we obviously launched this in October, but already I think in terms of an outlook going forward for this year, a few highlights I think we can expect to see quite a bit around sustainability, pilot plants, R&D facilities, in particular food innovation and process improvements going forward.
Okay, sounds good. In terms of the current climate, Sarah, for equipment suppliers, can you give us a sort of a snapshot across the three countries?
Yeah, well, going into the year, the new year, generally everybody, equipment suppliers, engineering houses, seem to be very busy across all countries really. So generally the outlook going into the year is very positive. There's a lot of feasibility studies at the moment, master studies, master plans going on, and I think we can expect to see quite a bit more of that this year. A lot of projects are going ahead. There doesn't really seem to be many being cancelled or put on hold. There seems to be quite a bit of movement and things are happening. There seems to be quite a bit of competition from turnkey providers. But other than that, I mean, briefly, going forward into the year, I think it's very positive.
That sounds good. So it's very, very buoyant market. I suppose also what we've got to talk about is in terms of acquisitions and partnerships. It's been a very busy few months, hasn't it, Sarah? We've listed a few ones that you can see here on the screen. I was wondering, Sarah, if any of these really stood out for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few on there. There is quite a lot of acquisitions happening across all three countries. This is just a snapshot of a couple that we've picked out. In particular, I think looking forward, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Coca-Cola. They've recently completed its acquisition of Costa Coffee. Similarly, Nestle, they've teamed up with Starbucks recently, going into the coffee market. So it'll be interesting to see what investment surrounds that going forward. Another one to mention might be Unilever in the Netherlands. They've recently acquired the vegetarian butcher, and this goes back to when we picked out the trends before. We mentioned food innovation and sustainability. But yeah, I mean, going forward, it'll be interesting to see what happens with these.
Right, okay. Shall we dive into one of our countries, and perhaps we could start with France. As many of you know, obviously the French market is absolutely enormous. We're talking about, nearly 8 billion euros in 2018. Sarah, you've started reporting on the French market back in October. What are the sort of sectors that have emerged from your research so far?
Yeah, so obviously we only started it in October, the launch, but already there seems to be a few particular sectors that we've reported on quite a few projects. There seems to be quite a lot of investment around being bakery. There seems to be quite a bit in the meat sector in France. I think we can expect to see quite a bit more in the drink sector going forward, brewery, and dairy, infant milk production, formulas.
Sounds great. Let's have a look perhaps at some of the key players that you've mentioned on some of the bulletins, Sarah. So we've got here on the slides a few names and brands, but I thought perhaps, Sarah, you could tell us a little bit more about a few of them. Let's start, for example, with Bridor.
Yeah, I mean, Bridor have been a major investor in the last couple of years, and they continue to do so. So I think going forward for this year, we can expect to see more investment into their existing facilities. But there's also plans for a new facility that we can expect to come onto the horizon quite soon. So that'll be one to watch out for.
Sounds great. And what about Eastini Saint-Mer, for example, Sarah? Can you tell us more about their plans?
Yeah, so Isigny St. Mare, they've been investing into one of their existing facilities, and they're looking to increase production capacity of infant milk powders. They're going to be investing quite a lot in the next couple of years, so they're one to watch out for.
Okay. And what about LDC, for example?
Yeah, I mean, these are quite a big player in the meat sector in France. And others, but they continue to invest, and they've recently acquired Group Do. So we can expect to see things happening around there, involving a new facility, upgrades to existing plants, and they're also expanding their own offerings, going into pet food. So I think going forward for this year, these guys are going to be investing in quite a few different projects.
So it seems to be, Sarah, a good mix of a new build and sort of upgrades to existing sites. And in terms of budget as well, there's quite a good variation.
Yeah, I mean, these projects at the moment, based on what we've been covering and what we're looking at, range really from kind of 135 million euros all the way down to, a couple of million euros for internal upgrades and modifications, process upgrades. So yeah, it really does vary all the way up to kind of 135 million euro plus. And that's across new build facilities, improvements and expansion to existing facilities. So there's a really good mix here in terms of opportunities for, equipment suppliers.
That sounds really exciting. Are there any other brands that are on your radar that you haven't actually published bulletins about, but you have in mind, and that we can expect things to happen with them?
Yeah, I mean, some of the big players, Mars, Coca-Cola, Carlsberg, I think they're ones that I'm looking at the moment, and I think going forward there's going to be quite a few projects emerging from these guys.
Okay, brilliant. So some exciting times ahead. I think we can now move on to the Belgian market. Again, a very huge sector of the Belgian economy. But in terms of the growth, it seems to be one that is particularly fast growing. We expect something like 12% growth by 2022. So that is actually massive. Sarah, do you want again to go perhaps through some of the sectors that have stood out for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, already there's things that are standing out to us, projects that we're looking into. Again, there seems to be quite a lot of investment around the bakery sector, a little bit around the dairy sectors, quite a lot around sugar, ingredients, and the chocolate manufacturing.
Okay, and again, let's move on to some of the big players that are that you've already reported on. So we've got quite a few here, and some stood out for me, and I wanted to ask you a little bit more about them. I noticed in the sugar and ingredients sector, the COBT. Would you mind telling us a bit more about it, Sarah, please?
Yeah, so these guys, it's actually a cooperative that's formed of sugar beet growers, and they're looking to build a new sugar refinery facility in the Faloy area of Senef-Ménage. So they'll be investing over 300 million euros. This is going to be a massive investment. You mentioned Pativa, they're on there. Again, this is another sugar manufacturer. This is interesting because they're actually a foreign investor. They're actually an Indian-based company, and they're looking to invest probably in the excess of around 150 million euros, again, into Wallonia, in the Senef-Ménage area of Belgium.
Some major investments. And what about people like Toronto, for example?
Yeah, I mean, Paratos, these guys specialise in ingredients, really, for bakery, so yeast enzymes for the bakery sector. Going forward, I mean, these have already invested into their existing facilities and they'll continue to do so. We're seeing projects emerging out of their Ardennes sites and one of their other sites, Erin-Bodegin. So these will be interesting to look out for this year. There'll be a lot of cooking, filling, ovens, storage required. You know, there's lots of opportunity there.
Exciting times. I've got to move on to the Dutch market, Sarah, if that's all right with you. It seems again to be quite a unique market in terms of the fact that it's the second largest exporter of agri-food products behind the USA. I mean, can you tell us a little bit more about the Dutch market, Sarah?
I mean, it's huge in food and beverage. There's obviously quite a lot of investment in and around innovation and sustainability, particularly within the Netherlands, with the university, the Wageningen, apologies for my pronunciation, university and their major research campus over there. You know, we've got the likes of Unilever that have recently set up their, World Innovation Centre there. And then you've obviously got down the east side of Netherlands, which is known really as the Food Valley. So there's a lot of investment around here in innovation, around sustainability.
And again, I suppose some key sectors have emerged from your research again. So let's take a look at them.
Yeah, so I mean, again, quite similar in terms of chocolate ingredients, dairy sectors. Obviously, we'll come on to the key players, Foods and Campina, but also around insect processing and looking at meat alternatives.
Let's have a look at some of the major brands that are investing on the Dutch market. Okay, so we've got quite a few here. I wanted to ask you, Sarah, about Mars, for example.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mars are a huge player, but we can expect to see going forward a lot of phased projects from Mars this year and over the next couple of years, really, as part of a master plan, looking at ways to improve their production efficiency and standardising their processes. So there'll be, bagging. There'll be a whole heap of opportunities ranging, from packaging, heating, moulding, lots of opportunity around here.
That sounds a major plan. In terms of budget as well, did you have any idea already what sort of ballpark figures we're talking? Well, not yet.
I mean, this
happened yet. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean. This is obviously quite an early thing that they're looking at going forward for the next couple of years. So, I mean, it's difficult to say at the moment. You'll probably be looking in the excess of around 40 million euros all in all. Could be more, could be less. The scope will be defined, I suppose, as we go forward.
And can you tell us more about Colocan, please?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one. Like Belgium, the Dutch market attracts quite a lot of foreign investing and foreign investors. Colocan are actually a company based in the UK and they're looking to establish themselves in the Amsterdam area of the Netherlands. They plan to build a new starch processing facility here, so that this will be quite an exciting one.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for this, Sarah. We thought that it could be interesting actually to pick your brains on perhaps one project that you haven't published yet, and we just wanted to have a bit of a golden nugget for people who have decided to join us today. So I've asked you to share some info, very early stage on a project that you're working on currently, and you chose something from a project from Heineken, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can expect to see quite a bit of investment from these guys going forward, as ever. But this particular project involves a new R&D laboratory facility that will be at their head office in Zoeterwoude. Again, apologies for my pronunciation. So they'll probably be looking in the excess of about 10 million euros for this project. And that's something that we can see in the next couple of months emerging. So it will be small scale production, but nevertheless it will involve bottling, conveying, automation, machinery, just on a smaller scale.
Okay, so it seems like it's going to be one to watch and one to look out for.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think I'd like to, thank you very much for that, Sarah. I think I'd like to actually now take Christophe's brains on how on how to handle project information. So with this example, and with any of the project bulletins that we publish, can you remind us the sort of key strategies to put into place and tools to use, please?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's here a few tips and tricks in terms of obviously your protein integration. What I've highlighted is a few points here in terms of obviously complements for your information. I think it's always positive to maximize your sales by having a backup on your sales activity. Main point here also will be some cross-reference with your existing customers. I mean, if you target your existing customer, you may also be ahead of the market and know what your customer is about and find out about the early data on their investments. Obviously, it is without saying that social media today has taken a big place in our business environment. Obviously, Twitter and obviously referring to LinkedIn. A great way to reach key contacts and key people there in terms of starting to build up a relationship.
Do you mean that perhaps people nowadays receive perhaps a bit too many emails and perhaps they're more open to other channels?
Yeah, I think we're looking at something a bit more tailored here, a bit more personal. I think it is key to reach people in other ways now, where it's a bit more sociable. I would say a bit more receptive also for them to respond to you. I mean, the mailing is still valuable and a marketing campaign, and obviously gets your product to be known, and it's always good to have that exposure on the market as well. But as we said, what we want is to get on that supplier list. And so I think there are key points here for you to maximize that potential. And obviously, I mean, things don't happen straight away. I think it's important to say be resilient and realistic. You set yourself some targets. There is a big room for growth here.
Can you give us some examples of what sort of targets people could set themselves when they use MyProtel and the information?
Well, I think it's important to remember this is a sales business. I think building up on sales forecast and pipeline is key there, and I'm sure you're all familiar with that. But again, if I go back to the originally, I think be realistic. It's not an easy market. There's a lot of people out there, but obviously you have key data from our project, and I think there is a big potential there. And if you use it in different ways, as I mentioned, social media, probably some campaigns, and reach people and key decision people.
Right. Do we have any questions that you'd like to that we've received and you'd like to pick up on, Christophe?
Yeah, I mean, there is a few questions here actually coming through. I've got the first one here, which is what is the best way to approach? I would imagine to approach this bulletin. As I think it slightly come back to what I've mentioned around. There is obviously the direct approach where you can obviously contact people who are listed on this project.
So do you mean over the phone?
Yeah, I mean, about the phone is one thing. I think it's still coming back to this probably old system in the cold calling. I think it's still I would say it's still on the trend and reaching people that way. Again, social network and media in that way are also really useful in getting that first approach. So I think that's. Also, as we highlighted on the project, it will be indicated as well all the contacts and the email on the form.
I think the good thing also is that the project bulletins give you that sort of relevance, because you know that you're not contacting people at the wrong time or about the wrong project. You know exactly what they're working on. You've got the detail of the schedule, the different steps of the project, so you know when, with your expertise, you know when to contact them, and you can really tailor your message, can't you? You can really, instead of having a sort of mass emailing or things like that, you can really tailor the message. Perhaps an intro email first, would you recommend? Just listing, very short and sweet before picking up the phone and checking whether the person has actually received your email and is free to discuss it or even to meet.
Yeah, I think that approach is great. I think it all varies also on the obviously the company strategy and what's your skills in terms of approaching this project. Some people like calling directly, some people like emailing, and some people will use also the social network. So obviously it's down to you to see what's the best solution for your business.
I think there's a good question here also that came in about the sort of level of the contacts that we mentioned our bulletins, and it is true that most of them are quite high up on the sort of hierarchy level, and sometimes they're obviously so hard to get on the phone. They don't really obviously answer emails very often because they really they receive so many emails and things like that. So I think we have been listening to the sort of comments that we got from subscribers, and we're trying more and more to diversify the sort of contact that we have, to have people, perhaps more technical people more on the field, and perhaps Sarah, perhaps actually, if you'd like to step in and talk about the sort of contact that you try to source for our subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we want to be speaking to the decision makers. It really depends on which company it is and which stage of the project that it is. One thing that we do is try to update projects as they go along. So, for example, if it's a very, very early project, it's still at feed concept studies, the likelihood is really that there isn't going to be a specific project team, and it will be with some people quite high up in the organisation. So as that project will progress, we will, do our best to update the projects as the contacts as a project team is then assigned to a project. But yeah, I mean, it really does vary on, like I say, the stage of the project, but also within an organisation. If it's a big player, they have a different structure to perhaps a smaller business where it might actually be the owner that's dealing with that. So it really does vary, but it is something obviously that we bear in mind and ultimately try to give you, point you in the right direction, that there is some investment happening here. And try to point you in the right direction.
Brilliant. And would you say also engineering companies, Sarah, could be another sort of, way to put a foot in the door on the project?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have relationships with engineering houses. I mean, ultimately, these guys are going to be getting involved quite early on, so they're going to know who the best people to be speaking to will be. It depends how the project's being managed and at what stage they get on board. Sometimes a company will try and do as much as they can internally before going out to an engineering house, and so the project will remain with people at quite a high level. But no, it's always good to have contacts within an engineering house and build on that relationship going forward. That they are key.
Right, lovely. Christophe, thank you, Sarah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a very good question, I think. It's what are the fastest growing subsectors what are the fastest growing subsectors in Belgium and the Netherlands? I think it'll be over to you, Sarah, on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned a few when we looked at the sectors. You know, we've pulled out a few that seem to be sticking out at this moment in time. There's a lot of sugar processing at the moment, investing around sugar in Belgium and ingredients, bakery, chocolate. But it will be interesting to see going forward. I think there's going to be quite a lot more around meat alternatives, so plant-based products. We're seeing a bit around insect processing now. There's, well-known projects in the Netherlands for Bula, joint venture with Protix, where they're looking at ways to use, they're building a new facility for fly insect processing. And that's something we're going to see quite a lot more of going forward.
All right, thank you very much, Sarah. That sounds like there's a lot of potential there as well. Christophe, did you see another question that you wanted us to? Someone is asking what's the best way to approach prospects. Well, we sort of touched on that, and Christophe has mentioned, obviously, perhaps an introduction email. In some countries, people are perhaps more open to actually just picking up the phone and talking to you. But, in other countries, sometimes it's much better to keep it short, but a short introduction email, perhaps with just a short brochure in attachments, and then the second phase would be to contact people over the phone. So feel free to call people and ask them whether they've received your email and whether they want to talk about it, etc. Someone else I can see is asking whether we should contact everybody on the list of project bulletins or be careful.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noted as well on the question is, yes, we do recommend you to contact the contact on the project. It is highlighted that people on the project are people which have been or are involved in the project themselves. So whether they those high levels or lower levels, I think it's still worth to get in touch with them and to discuss further. So yes, we do recommend that action for you to contact these people directly.
There's a question from someone asking about whether it's possible to search using criteria to separate dairy, infant milk, chocolate, ingredients, drinks, meats projects. So yes, it is possible to sort of segment your search using things like the keywords, for example. So we can you can just input a series of those words, for example, dairy products, drinks, brewery, or confectionery. So there's a list of keywords that we will be able to send you. You can access it directly via my Protel, but you can also do a search based on what is being manufactured as well. So yes, you can actually very narrow things down.
If I can just add something to that question. Yes, as Nina mentioned, a keyword, but also obviously product search. So you're able to target a bit more specific criteria through my Protel, which is obviously designed to do that as well.
Of course, you can directly talk to your account manager. So it might be me for some of you. It might be my colleague Debbie for some others. So feel free to approach your account manager. We've got all your questions anyway. So if we can't get to all your questions now, we will obviously get in touch with you and reply and organize demos and refresher demos if needed. In terms of someone is asking how to target target projects and which projects to target. Well, I think obviously it's using your expertise and possibly perhaps going for the sort of low-bearing fruits, what's going to be easier for you to do. For example, if you already work with a company, you can target searches based on that particular company or contacts at the company. So they already know you. You've got their trust. So it might be easier rather than starting straight away with a completely new contact and a completely new company. I think actually we've just published a blog post about how to target projects. So I'll send everybody a link to this blog post. But otherwise, you can just, I think it's published. It's live now, if I'm not mistaken. So you can just log in into my protaprojects.com and go into the blog, and you can see tips on how to target project.
Yeah, just added something because we are obviously targeting and reaching contact, just making sure that obviously on activities. One project is also a source of information which includes contacts, scopes, companies' information. I think one of the key things I mentioned earlier on for the tips and tricks in terms of potentially beyond the obviously approved supplier list would be also to build up relationship, and I'm sure you're aware of that. But it's always good to mention it. Build up relationship with this contact. I mean, if one project obviously is not suitable, obviously there will be already some discussion about probably future project ahead. So it's important to bear in mind that contacts are key also here.
We've got one question about the possible impact of Brexit. Well, that's $1 million question, really. I mean, Sarah, do you want to pick up on that point?
Yeah, I mean, it is $1 million question. I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody really knows at this moment in time. Right now, we're not seeing a major impact, but that's not to say that obviously, it is going to have an impact. I mean, for example, looking at costs, supply chain costs, tariffs, charges, especially for OEMs, this is going to be a massive hit for them, and that's obviously going to have a knock-on effect with everybody in the chain, trying to recoup your costs and your charges. Will people be looking outside of Europe because it will become more competitive for them? We don't know really. I mean, what we are seeing in some cases in the UK, just moving away from Europe for a second, is a lot of stockpiling. But generally, it's difficult for businesses to plan for future strategies. So I think the overall footprints, the master planning of businesses are in preparation. But we're not seeing a major impact as yet. We're all in the darkness, really. But, there may be some things that we can expect to see affecting.
Okay. Christoph, I think there was one question you wanted to pick up.
I think we'll probably share that with Sarah as well, which is about the criteria for obviously covering a project. I think we kind of gone through, but there is various criteria in terms of how we are targeting the project. I mean, we're talking Capex project here, and obviously it does involve a lot of the processing side of the business. And obviously processing, production, etc. I mean, Sarah, can you obviously complete on this one? Is that?
So how do we?
Sorry, can you just repeat that question, Christoph?
Is it how do we choose?
Yeah, well, the
cover?
Various criteria for covering a project, for example.
I'm really sorry, guys. Can you just repeat that again? It's just broken up a little bit.
I think that's all right. I think if I'm not mistaken, the question is, what sort of criteria do we base our choice of project coverage on? Why do we cover some projects and not others?
I suppose that ideally we want to be covering as many projects as possible, but that's impossible. So it's prioritising, really, making sure that that there's a good variety as much as possible for equipment suppliers. it's a difficult one, really. The schedule's got a lot to do with it. We want it to be out there at the right time, so there's still opportunity. The last thing we want to do is be putting a project out there that the procurement is already well underway, which leaves little opportunity. So the schedule is a big part of that. As early as possible is what we try to aim for, and a variety of projects, really, for everybody.
Yeah, and also, Sarah, if I may add, it's obviously we are getting established data. I think that's a key thing in terms of having that criteria.
Yeah, I mean, we only launched this in October. So, it's still something, very much underway, getting developed still. But, it's been very positive so far. And hopefully, what we have got out there at the moment, there is a really good, variety out there.
Very good. Any other questions?
We're just scrolling through here.
Sorry, someone's asking if there's the copy of this presentation. Yes, there will be a recording, and it will be available to you. We'll send it to you by email. So yes, if you've missed out a few minutes of our presentation, fear not, you'll have the recording. Any other questions? Please do keep them. We've got another 5 minutes or so. So if you've got any more questions, please keep them coming using the right hand side pane on your screen.
Just going through that one in terms of the feedback available. I hope I understand pretty well the question here. Obviously, we have regular testimonials from companies who actually currently obviously using Process, and obviously it's available on our website. And I'm hoping I've understood well that question. And obviously, yes, they have had experience with the project, and they can explain actually in details that these circumstances. So yeah, I think there is feedback on our website.
You mean success stories and things like that? Is someone asking? Yeah, okay. I'm seeing the question now. So someone's asking, Christophe, yes, we've got testimonials on the page, and just get in touch. Talk to your account manager if you want to, get some tips on how, because we obviously talk to loads of equipment suppliers on a daily basis, and we know what works for who, and how to best practice. So feel free to approach your account manager, myself, or Debbie, or Katie, whoever your account manager is. Right. Anything else, Christophe, that you see that we should be covering?
Well, I mean the last one is. I would not say let's start learning French, but I mean, yes, there could be some.
What is the question? You have to read the question first.
No. Any tips for contacting customers who may only speak French, for instance? It's a difficult one. I think, yes, there will always be the elements in every business of sometimes of a barrier language. I believe, however, the English language is well spread in most of countries now. And so it could, for instance, probably get someone who's not as comfortable as speaking a different language. I would say it's really rare now, but I'm sure someone else can help on that within the business.
Perhaps approach the sort of another office of the same company, perhaps, who would speak the same language, and get a recommendation, perhaps internally.
I think companies are simply part of Europe. I think there is a lot of English speakers and within businesses now. So I think it's always a good way to get around that.
Right. Okay. Well, we're coming up to the 45 minutes mark, so I think we've already taken quite a bit of time from Sarah. So thank you so much, Sarah, for taking the time to answer our questions today. If you've got any other questions that you haven't had time to ask during the webinar, please send us an email. As I said earlier on, we'll have a recording of this webinar that will be made available to you very shortly. If you've got any comments questions, anything that you want to discuss further, any points in the presentation that particularly is of interest for you, again, get in touch, and our research team are always happy to also have a chat with you and to discuss any ways to help you in your strategy, and we're here to help you. So if you want to have a chat with Sarah, I'm sure she'll be happy to oblige. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us today. We hope this webinar was useful to you all, and well, have a lovely day and see you all very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks, Nina and Christoph.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.